plus R. Okay. Look at this thing. Who amongst the following can pardon? We've discussed this question, right? Who amongst the following can pardon capital punishments in India? So capital punishment, it means death penalty, can be pardoned by
President.
only president. So president has certain pardoning powers under Article 72 of the Indian Constitution. Even governor has certain pardoning powers, but he cannot pardon death penalties or capital punishment. Okay, so the power is there only with the governor. So how do I move this screen? Okay, so let me proceed with the next part. Okay, I think I have to quit this thing. Okay, next question. 19 was a question we were discussing previously, right? Yeah, this one. 18 is done. Provisions pertaining to citizenship are dealt in which part of the Indian Constitution? Which part? It is part 2 of the Indian Constitution.
Part 2.
Articles 5 to 11 talks about citizenship. We discussed in the previous classes that in part 1, we have union and its territory, which is dealt under Articles 1 to 4. Okay. Just give me a second. It says low system sources may affect your audio quality. So let me just quit the Chrome and the OBS. Okay. Next. So part 3 is fundamental rights, which is dealt under Article 12 to 35. And part 4 is DPSP, which is dealt under Articles 36 to 51. Okay. So let's proceed with the next question. Who is a guardian of merit system in India? Or they can ask you a question in a different way. Who is the watchdog of merit system in India? What is the answer? So the answer is UPSC. So guys, if you're not speaking, please mute your mic. Otherwise, I think I have to.
Sir, if that merit system is available in India, actually, chairman for UPSC and state public service for state chairman.
No. It is. I'll tell you why. See, who is a guardian of merit system in India? It is generally UPSC and State Public Service Commission. UPSC and State Public Service Commission, because they recruit merit for the union and also for the states. Okay, so they are considered as the watchdog or guardian of merit system in India. So there is no All India Merit Commission, and chairman is generally not, the guardian of merit system. So the commission in itself is, the guardian of merit system. They can ask a different question. Who is a guardian of public purse in India? Who is a guardian of public purse? Or who is a watchdog of public purse? So the answer is CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. So don't worry, we are going to discuss about constitutional bodies. I think it is the next. We are done till. I think the next class is on emergency provisions, right? The next we have emergency. Then we'll talk about parliamentary and presidential system in brief, and then we'll go with this one, constitutional bodies. So let me proceed with the next question. Which of the following liberties, if you're not speaking, please mute your mic. I don't know who is speaking.
Liberty of economy.
Which of the following is not embodied? It is the liberty of economy. So liberty of economy is not mentioned in the preamble. Liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship are mentioned. Guys, see, don't do this thing. If you're not speaking, why there is a need to mute your mic? Why there is a... Whoever it is, please don't create disturbance in the class. Next, dash is known as heart and soul of the... What's happening? Just give me a second, guys. Yeah, dash is known as the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. Which
Article 32.
Article 32. So what is Article 32? Article 32 is
Remedies.
right to
constitutional remedies.
So it is considered as the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution, because if there are rights, right without remedies are just written in water. So remedies are also very important. Right to constitutional remedies in itself is a fundamental right. And then we also discussed about Article 22 when we were talking about fundamental rights. We discussed two types of detentions when we were talking about 22. So 22 grants protection against arrest and detention. We talked about two types of detentions. What are they?
Punitive and preventive.
So it is
Preventive detection.
punitive detention, which is the general detention, which means you are arrested or you're detained after commission of the offense. And the next one is preventive detention, which is generally for people who already have a very good crime record. For them, we have preventive detention. And then what is Article 42? We discussed under DPSP to provide just and humane conditions of work and also maternity relief. So this is mentioned under Article 42. So 142 is a discretionary power which is given to the Supreme Court. If Supreme Court feels that proper justice is not done in any case, then Supreme Court can use its power under Article 142 and pass any decree or order, and this particular order to do complete justice to the case at hand. So this will be valid. It is enforceable throughout the territory of India, and it is binding on all the lower courts which are there. Okay, so generally
Ferrari Selvan case, Rajiv Gandhi assassination. Ferrari Selvan, that hearing happened, no, sir. That Supreme Court utilized Article 142 to release.
So that is what. So whenever Supreme Court feels that, proper justice is not done to the accused or to the proper justice is not done to the person who is praying over there. So then Supreme Court will use its power and it will grant the power, and whatever the judgment. Another thing is that any order, judgment, or rule made by the Supreme Court is binding on all the lower courts in India. Next, the highest appellate court for a person domiciled in the state of Lakshadweep is. It is the High Court. What is the answer? The highest domicile
court for the state of Kerala.
The Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India. Why it is the Supreme Court of India? What? See, look at this one. The question is given with a very clear intention to confuse you. A person domiciled in the state of Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep is in which country?
India.
It is in India. So for any person who is domiciled in India, which means who is born in India, whose blood is India, then what is the highest appellate court in India?
Supreme Court.
It is a Supreme Court. Okay. So initially he may approach the lower courts which are there in Lakshadweep if there are any lower courts, and then he can go to the High Court which is in the state of Kerala, because Lakshadweep don't have its own High Court. It's a common High Court.
Bench at
Yes.
Lakshadweep, sir.
Sorry?
Having bench at Lakshadweep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there is a bench. But it is essentially the High Court for the state of Kerala. So seat is in Kerala, and benches are in various places where the courts are operating. Like for various courts, Allahabad High Court bench is also there in Lucknow, right? So that is how it is. Next, which of the following can be matched with the instrument of instructions?
DPSP.
DPSP. So DPSP matches the instrument of instructions. Instrument of instructions are there in which act? It is there in Government of India Act 1935. I've discussed it when I was talking about DPSP. If you did not watch the lesson, please go there and check it out. Next, the Union Executive does not consist of Solicitor General, because Solicitor General is a law officer who assists the Attorney General, whereas the Union Executive consists of President, Vice President, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, and Attorney General. So that is the constitutional definition of Union Executive. Next, what is the meaning of bona vacantia?
Goods without owner.
Goods without an owner. So I gave you an example, some abandoned cars which are there on the road, or maybe any other goods which are left over for a longer period of time. So they are known as bona vacantia. So vacantia is something that is vacant for a longer period of time. So then we declare it as goods without owner. What is damnum sine injuria? I've explained it when we were talking about
Damage without injury, legal injury.
So damnum is damage, sine is without, injuria is injury. So damage without legal injury. So any case law with respect to damnum sine injuria, I discussed it, right? There is damage, but there is no legal injury.
Ashby versus White.
Yes?
Ashby versus White.
Ashby versus White. No, Ashby versus White is, injuria sine damnum, legal injury without actual damage. So it is Gloucester Grammar School. So in Gloucester Grammar School, what happened? There is a damage that is happened to the school. Damage doesn't mean the physical damage. There is monetary loss, which means the school has lost certain things because a new school was established. But is there any violation of legal right? No, because anyone and everyone who is there, they can establish their own school. Okay, so there is no violation of legal right. So when there is no violation of legal right, there is no remedy. Whereas Ashby versus White, Bhim Singh versus State of Jammu and Kashmir, all of these are injuria sine damnum, which means there is a legal injury, which means there is a violation of legal right, but there is no actual damage. Okay, if there is a violation of legal right, then we can definitely seek for remedies. I know that some of you might not understand this one because you guys have joined a little late. No problem. Just go there and check the Law of Torts lesson. Watch it. You will be able to understand it well, and also watch legal maxims. Okay. Next. How? Who prepared this one? I'm writing. Who amongst the following proposed the doctrine of rule of law? So rule of law is proposed by A.V. Dicey, who is a British political thinker. Next. Indian Parliament is based on the principle of Indian Parliament is based on bicameralism because Indian Parliament has two houses, that is upper house, which is Rajya Sabha, and lower house, that is Lok Sabha. Okay. So what is diarchy? Anybody in the class? You know what is universal adult franchise, right? So whoever is an adult, so he will have the right to exercise his vote irrespective of whatever. Yeah. What is diarchy?
The provinces and
so diarchy is ruled by two independent people. Monarchy is ruled by one fellow. If one king is ruling, one independent authority is ruling, then it is known as monarchy. When two independent people are ruling or two independent authorities are ruling, then it is known as diarchy. When people are ruling, it is known as democracy. Okay, next. The Preventive Detention Act restrains a person. It's very important. I've discussed it.
Right to freedom.
Right to life and personal.
Right to freedom, not just give me a second. So it actually violates both the rights, I can say, but more essentially it is the right to freedom, because right to life is not getting violated. Right to life is also getting violated in some case. Of course, personal liberty also, and also right to freedom. So you can answer both of them. Either of them can be correct. So what is given in your key? I did not check the key actually, because some people told that some answers are wrong. So I'm going with my answers and not with the key. So that they might be wrong, but whatever I'm saying, to the fullest extent, they are correct. Okay. So please, if you're not speaking, mute your mic.
PDF bandits మీద కూడా పెడతారు కదా.
Sorry?
Bandits. Pulandevi లాంటి bandits మీద ఈ PD Act పెట్టారు.
PD Act on whom?
Pulandevi like bandits.
Yeah, it might be on anyone. If the police, if the state feels that they can create a threat to the law and order, they can arrest anyone and everyone. Okay, but
PD Act on Cherku Sudhakar sir in Telangana, who agitated in the United Andhra Pradesh to form the separate state for Telangana. Cherku Sudhakar.
Inti party leader.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people who are arrested under preventive detention law. Like if you look, a lot of people who are serial committer of offenses, like some people do serial thefts and murders, and these people, so they'll be arrested. And of course, sometimes these people are also arrested for various political reasons. Next, the concept of judicial review has been borrowed from the Constitution of
US.
It is from the Constitution of USA, as we have discussed very recently in the class on sources. Next, which of the following schedules of the Constitution of India contains provisions pertaining to anti-defection? Anti-defection. Anti-defection is in 10th schedule. So second schedule talks about
Oaths and affirmations.
Second schedule talks about the emoluments, allowances, and privileges of the members of, the president, vice president, members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and whoever it is. So forms of oath and affirmations are there in third schedule. Okay. Then
What is anti-defection?
sorry.
Anti-defection.
Anti-defection is disqualifying people, disqualifying the legislative members if they are defecting from one political party to other political party. So who is asking this question? I'm sorry.
Sir, consider this Telangana Congress party who Sabita Indra Reddy won in Congress and she joined the TRS, no sir. That's come under defection, no sir.
Of course, but did you watch the class on on Parliament and State Legislative Assembly where I talked about anti-defection?
I didn't, sir.
You did, right? So I told you something over there that the final authority is in the hands of Speaker. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Up to the Speaker if he wants to take action or not, and there is no time frame. So generally, Speaker is from the ruling party, right? So generally, he'll refrain from taking action. So that will happen. It's very common.
But it is violation, no sir. Actually,
it is not violation. It is not violation. I explained it in the class. Go there and check the recording out, because it is not. It is definitely unethical, because they are not doing correct, but it is not illegal. It is not violation of law, because the complete discretion is in the hand of Speaker. Nowhere law says that Speaker must take action. Guys, whose mic is on if you're not speaking? I don't know, because somebody complained me that in the recording, when somebody is not speaking and their mic is on, it is creating unnecessary disturbance to them. So if you're not speaking, please mute your mic. If you're speaking, you can unmute and you can directly ask me any question. You can stop me anywhere. I'm not asking to do that. If you're not speaking, please mute your mic. See, the only thing is that the discretion is there in the hand of Speaker. Okay. So if Speaker is taking or not, it is not illegal. Whether Speaker is taking action. If he thinks that it is correct, he will take. If he thinks that it is not correct, he will not take. It is up to him. So it is not a violation of law. Okay. But it is, of course.
If Speaker is not duly following the law or acts, can we take a charge against him?
Of course, you can take it will be according to the rule book, the rules of this one. But if Speaker is not taking any action on disqualification, then it is not a violation of law, because Speaker has the discretion, right? So he will exercise his discretion. And I would suggest you guys to please watch the recording again, because even when I was there, I remember very correctly. So when I was studying anti-defection law, I raised the same question. So why is the Speaker, why he is not taking any action? If he is not taking any action, why it is not the violation of law? But read the act again and read it again, and also refer to Kihoto Olohan versus Jachillu, which is a case in Meghalaya, I guess. So if you read it again and again, so you will understand, you will come out of this thing. Okay. So next, yeah. Fifth schedule talks about, the administration of scheduled areas and tribes other than the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram, because they are there in which schedule?
Fifth schedule.
They are there in sixth schedule. Okay. So other than the sixth schedule states, that is other than Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram, all other states are administered under fifth schedule. And then we have eighth schedule, which has official languages, and 10th schedule is disqualification on grounds of defection. Next, the term of a Rajya Sabha member is
6 years.
This was 6 years. Very simple question. Whereas if I cut the term member, what is the answer?
Permanent.
It is permanent. Very good. Because Rajya Sabha is permanent, whereas the term of members is fixed. Whereas Lok Sabha, the term of Lok Sabha is 5 years.
5 years.
And members' term is also 5 years. Whereas Rajya Sabha is a continuous house. Next. The main advantage of the parliamentary form of government is that main advantage.
The executive remains responsible to the
Executive
legislature.
remains responsible to the legislature. I told you. So who is executive? It is Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. If I'm talking about the union level, then these people will remain in office as long as they hold a majority or they have the confidence of Lok Sabha. Okay. So it means that executive is responsible to the legislature. So Lok Sabha is legislature. What is legislature? Legislature is lawmaking body. Okay, so that is what is this 134.
Sir, executive means public servants, no, sir. Who executes the law passed by the government.
Administration.
Yes.
Administration.
Yes, I'm coming there. I've explained this also very clearly when I was talking about union and state executive. See, who is the real executive? The real people who are executing are the government officers who are there. It might be the IAS, IPS, or somebody who are below them or whoever it is. But let us take an example. For example, school education. Okay, school education department. So who is the head of school education department in Telangana?
Education minister.
School level.
So there is a director of school education. I think her name is Miss Devasena. Let us take some ex-fellow. Okay, it might be whoever it is. Now, this school education, this department falls under a ministry. Yes or no? It falls under which ministry?
Ministry of Education.
It falls under the Ministry of Education. So who is the head of this ministry?
Sabita Indra
Reddy.
Whoever it is the minister, right? So Sabita Indra Reddy is there. So she is the education minister. Yes or no? So now, who is heading the executive? Who is heading the executive?
Devasena.
No, who is heading the? See, Devasena, she is executive. So the entire department is executive, right? So who have all the officers who are working under it. So who is heading the entire executive is headed by the minister. Okay. So under the ministry, there are all these departments. You know, the first we have on the top, we have the minister. Then we have the secretary. You know, it might be special CS or general CS. And then we have directors and commissioners for, you know, commission of college height education, school education, and all of these people. So ultimately, who is heading the department? Who is heading the executive? It is the minister. So that is why they are there. I've explained it multiple times in the previous classes. So please go there and check it out. Next. The Parliament of India acquires the power to legislate on any item in the state list in the national interest if a resolution to that effect is passed by. It is Rajya Sabha by a majority of not less than 2/3 of its members present and voting. Of course, I did not discuss it in the class, but I told you that certain things we might not discuss in the class, but we will take these kind of sessions as a platform to discuss these topics. See, first thing is that in the state list, whatever is a state list, when I was talking about the division of powers, I used a very important word when I was talking about state list. I told that in state list, in ordinary circumstances, which means in general circumstances, state government is the only competent authority to make a legislation. But Parliament can also make a law on any subject that is there in the state list if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution with 2/3 majority. So if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution with 2/3 majority, then Parliament can definitely make a law on that particular subject. For example, I think the subject of wildlife, it is there in the state list. Okay, but Parliament enacted a very important legislation that is known as Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so how did they enact this particular thing? Because Rajya Sabha passed a resolution and they asked to legislate on the subject which is there in the state list. Okay, is this clear? This is a very important question. Even though I did not discuss in the class, this is also a class. This will be recorded and please go through this and note this down. Next, the Parliament can make law for whole or any part of India for implementing international treaties, which means to implement any international treaty, what is the requirement? Parliament can implement it with the consent of all the states, which means all the states that are there in India. Or what is the answer, guys?
Without consent of any state.
It is without the consent of any state, because Union Parliament is the only competent authority to enforce all the international treaties. So what is an international treaty? International treaty is something which is signed between two nations. So when it is signed between two nations, India and some other country or two other countries, then Indian government, that is a union government, is a competent authority to enforce that particular treaty throughout the territory of India. Next, impeachment of President of India can be initiated in
either House of Parliament.
Either House of Parliament. Some of you were confused that it has to be introduced only in Lok Sabha. No. So the answer is either House of Parliament. For most of the cases, it is either House of Parliament, except for a few things. For example, money bill. Money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. And there are some other things. Like, for example, if you want to create a new All India service, then the resolution has to be passed first in Rajya Sabha. Okay. Other than this, as of now, nothing strikes my mind. Yes. Somebody wants to remind me something.
Sir, does joint sitting of Parliament occurred?
Joint sitting is a different. Joint sitting is a different thing. Joint sitting of the Parliament is summoned by the President. Summoned ante President pilustaadu joint sitting ki rammani. But who presides over it? Ante who heads over the session? It is the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Joint sitting is a different thing. We are talking about initiation of bills in both the houses. So except in these two cases, in most of the cases it is there. So I'm using the word most, which means that there can be a few exceptions as well. Next, in which case decision is yes, please.
Impeachment is not like removing a president, right?
Impeachment is only for the removal of president. Impeachment is only for the procedure through which president is removed is known as impeachment. The word impeachment is used in the Constitution only for president and not for judges of Supreme Court, judges of High Court, and CAG and various other things. But in the exam paper and also sometimes in various books, the word impeachment is used. But impeachment is used only for the president. I've discussed it when I was talking about president chapter. Please go through the recording if you've forgotten it. Next. Which case decision is popularly known as Mandal judgment? Very important case. Mandal judgment. Sorry? Yes, you are correct.
Indira Sahni versus Union of India, sir.
Indira Sahni versus Union of India, which was in the year 1992. So Indira Sahni case is also known as Mandal case because it is related to OBC reservation. Supreme Court said that Parliament can enact reservation to anybody. It might be to OBCs as well. So, but it should not exceed 50% except in extraordinary circumstances. The 50% cap and the 27% reservation for OBCs were upheld in Indira Sahni versus Union of India, which is known as Mandal judgment. Okay, because Mandal Commission was appointed, to look into the reservation for OBCs or other backward classes. We have discussed about Keshwananda Bharati versus Union of India, which is a very important case in which the doctrine of basic structure was evolved. And then we discussed Golaknath versus state of Punjab in the year 1967. So Golaknath versus state of Punjab. In this case, Supreme Court told that Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution without touching what?
Preamble.
Fundamental rights. Without touching fundamental rights. I discussed it in the previous class only. I think on oh my gosh, running out of time. Okay, I discussed it in a very recent class. Looks like you guys are not going through the recordings again. You have to go through it, otherwise we'll forget the concepts.
Can Parliament amend? Can Parliament amend preamble, sir?
Yes, Parliament can amend preamble. If it is not violating basic structure, anything can be amended. Except basic structure, anything can be amended, as I discussed in the previous class. Next, who is author of the book A Judge's Miscellany? I'll give you a hint. So there is one NLU which is named after this person. Anybody in the class?
Lord M.R. Dennings.
Oh my gosh. So the answer is Justice Hidayatullah. So there is a NLU which is named after him, that is HNLU Raipur. So Hidayatullah National Law University, which is in Chhattisgarh. So the answer is J.M. Hidayatullah. Please remember, this question was repeated multiple times.
Lawyer.
Sorry?
Lord Dennings also is a lawyer, a judge.
Who?
C. Option C he's a judge.
Lord
Dennings.
Yeah, he might be a judge because he has a Lord, right? So because the House of Lords, yeah, he might be a judge. I'm not sure, but Justice H.R. Khanna is a judge. Justice Dalveer Bhandari is also a judge. Justice M. Hidayatullah is also a judge. Lord, this fellow
CJI,
also.
sir. Once Dadan CJI of Supreme Court, sir. Who in Telangana, that gentleman agreement uh, violations case heard in his period only.
Whose period?
Hidayatullah, sir. Hidayatullah.
Under his, okay. Yeah, Hidayatullah is also the first Muslim Chief Justice of India, if I'm not wrong, subject to correction, but don't take it down, subject to correction. You can check that out. Next, the retirement age of Supreme Court judges is
65.
65. High Court,
62.
sorry, High Court. So Supreme Court it is 65. For High Court,
62.
62. Okay, very good. Next, according to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental for the governance of country? Only those who have attended the classes carefully, they can answer it. Others will miss it out.
DPSP.
DPSP, very good. Next, go through the recording again if you are missing out on this one. Next, 42. Which of the following is or are included in DPSP? Which is a part of DPSP?
Prohibition of consumption.
Prohibition of consumption, except of various drugs which are injurious to health, which is under Article 47. Which principle is that? By looking at this article, you should guess it.
Gandhian principle.
It is a Gandhian DPSP. Okay. Whereas prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, it is a fundamental right under rights against exploitation. Oh my gosh, it says low system resources may affect your audio quality. What am I using too much? Nothing. Let's see. So the answer is only two, guys. Only two. Prohibition of.
Sir, but in the Telangana state, there is a consumption of alcohol and all that gutka pan already there, no, sir.
Of course.
Illegal
What is
circulation of this.
Yes. Are you a new student? I'm sorry.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
The Tatreya, you are in. Did you watch the DPSP chapter?
A little bit, sir. Actually,
Okay. So please watch. Please watch it again, because DPSPs are not enforceable in court of law. If DPSPs are violated, you cannot go to the court. It is just a duty of the state to enforce. But if state is not enforcing also, you cannot go to the court. It means that they are not legally binding. Okay. So please, Dattu, you have to watch the recordings again. You are missing out on a lot of concepts. Okay. Next. 43. The first law commission was established in India under the chairmanship of which viceroy?
I think Macaulay.
So Lord Macaulay. So this is the first law commission, and this fellow is the one who drafted a very important code. What is that?
Education system.
Sorry.
Now we are using Indian education system. It's by Lord Macaulay only.
Yes, of course. He's also the drafter of Indian Penal Code, IPC. So in the year 1834, the first law commission was formed under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay. The first law commission after independent India was under whom? So it is under Mr. M.C. Settleworth. So he's the first law commission of independent India. Before independence, this fellow, that is Lord Macaulay, was there. Next, which of the following is the oldest high court in India? A very important.
High Court of
Calcutta.
High Court of
Calcutta.
What is the name of the building? I think it is Fort William, right? So High Court of Calcutta is the oldest high court in India. So it was established in which year? High Court of Calcutta was established in 1862. When was High Court? Yeah, 1862. And other high courts, that is High Court of Madras and also Bombay, they were also established, I think, with maybe 1 week or 1 month difference in the same year in 1862. But the first one is Calcutta. Please remember. Next, in 1862, correct. Next, Contempt of Code and the Contempt of Court Act 1971 includes both civil contempt and also criminal contempt. Yeah. Because what is civil contempt? So civil contempt means if you're not following the order of any court, then it becomes a civil contempt. Okay. Then you will be awarded with a fine. In civil contempt, you'll be awarded with fine. But criminal contempt is that when you are obstructing, any order of the court, or when you are obstructing, or when you are, jeopardizing the functioning of a court, when you are defaming the court, if you're doing in that way, then it becomes criminal contempt, which means and then criminal contempt will of course attract imprisonment, which means you will be sent to jail. Okay, so contempt of court includes both civil contempt and also criminal contempt. Court can punish for civil contempt, which means if you're not enforcing the order of court, and B, that is if you're creating any disturbance for the enforcement of order of the court, or if you are defaming the court, or if you're doing anything of that kind which is causing a prejudice to the Indian judiciary, then also you will be sent to jail under criminal contempt.
Sir, if we don't attend the court hearing, then does it become the contempt of court?
No, it's not. If you're not attempting it is not contempt. Contempt is not following the order. Sometimes it might or it might not be. Like for example, I filed a case against somebody and he did not come to the court. The court called him once and twice. So for the third time, the court set him as ex parte. Ex parte. What is the meaning of ex parte? Ex parte means that in his absence, in the absence of opposite party, the proceedings will take place. Not necessarily contempt. Not attending the court is not contempt. Not following the order of the court is contempt.
Despite number
This
of
is sorry. Please, just give me a second. I received, there is some kind of sound which is coming. The other student pointed me about this one only. In the recording, it is creating unnecessary disturbance. Yes, somebody wants to ask me a question. Only who is speaking?
Despite court serving number of times the notice to appear public servants, but public servants never follow the notice and does not come to court for hearing. So does it come under contempt?
It will definitely, it might come, because it depends from case to case. See, contempt of court is that it is not me feeling it is contempt or somebody else. The court should feel that there is a clear contempt, right? So if somebody is not attending the court because court called the other party to come on XYZ date and he did not come, for me, I feel that it is contempt, but court will not feel it as contempt because court thinks that, okay, he did not get time to come, so we'll give him another chance. So in the mind of court, if it is contempt, then it will definitely be contempt. Okay, less than 1 minute time, we are done with 45 questions. We'll do the remaining questions immediately. Join with the same link again. Join with the same link again. Recording will end. Alt+